Hello guys, welcome to Daddy Share Space and welcome to my channel. And today I'm coming to you with another Festool unboxing. This will be probably my last Festool tool of the year 2024. And what we have here is the Festool Rotex 90. So let's go ahead and unbox it. You can take a look there and see what the contents are like. There's another angle there for you to see. Alright, so of course we get the booklet, the operator manual. You also get the warranty inclusive, which I have already registered with this tool. Now, the tool itself comes with only two pieces of granite style sandpaper. Both of them are 80 grit. You have the obviously triangular version and then the circular version. Now, I did pick up some extra sandpaper here. I was not quite yet ready to spend the $200 for the sustainer kit, which I hope to get in the future. I just bought two little packets, which are 11 bucks each from Woodcraft. So I do have a little bit of sandpaper to get me started. Now this one here is going to be 120 grit, and then I got the 80 grit here. So let's set that to the side. Obviously you get your power cord, which you have here. And then you also get a guard, as you can see there. I'll just set that down. You have a guard there, and that's to protect your materials when you're going up against an edge. Underneath the sander, you have one of the special tricks of this particular sander, and that is this triangular attachment here, which gives you the ability to use the triangular sandpaper here. So we'll talk a little bit more about that in a bit. Finally, we have the main attraction, which is the Festool Rotex 90. Let's just slide this stuff to the side. You can get a look at that in the shot. Very unique style sander. This is a Rotex sander, so it gives you the ability to engage a gear drive mode, which makes it to where you cannot turn this head. There's a pin that drops down into the back of the plate so that this is actually driven by a gear, and a lot of people describe it as this is like a sander that works like a grinder. So now when you switch from the coarser setting, which you can see here, over to the random orbit setting, the pad is able to turn regularly, as you can see there. And then the final setting is the delta setting or the triangular setting, and that is right here on this edge. So you've got an on-off switch right here. You've got your power connection port on the back here, and this is the one with the notch. I need to look into the gauges on these particular cores to try to determine which one has the notch and which one doesn't. That kind of determines how much power draw, because you can't plug any power cord into any tool with Festool. You have to be mindful of which one accepts which cord. Right here, you've got your dust collection port, and on the bottom it's got some directions here about the fast fix. So when you put it into the triangular mode here, you have the ability to unscrew the base, as you can see there. You see the base. So, and it's just a simple twist to put this circular pad back on. Let me show you in this other angle here. So you see the base of the sander, you just pop that in, line it up, and it twists to tighten. And that's how you're going to actually put on this triangular pad. So you take this one here, and I'm sure it just fits in there, and then you snap it in place, and then you have a delta sander. So that's pretty cool. Now, the one benefit to using this delta sander over, let's say, the DTS or the DTSC sander from Festool is this is a perfect triangle, which means that you can orient your sandpaper 3 times so that you can use the tip 3 different times. Whereas with the typical Delta sander, the shape of the sander doesn't allow you to rotate your sandpaper, and thus forth, when the tip is worn out, then you're more prone to just take it off and use another piece of sandpaper without using the rest of the pad here. So this is very unique in being able to have that, I would call it like an ambidextrous, if you will, triangle, or a perfectly a triangle that's perfectly the same length on all three sides. It gives you that functionality of being able to take a piece of paper, put it on, apply it in all three directions, which is pretty cool. Now this does have a speed selector, and we go from 1 all the way up to 6. Now when I look on the side here, it what kind of data is it? It's a 400 watt sander, 120 volt machine, and the official name is the RO90 DX FEQ. So again, this is the Rotex 90, and I look forward to using this in the shop in the future. Now this has the ability to, you can buy a buffing pad for this so that you could use it to buff if you wanted to. This is the softer pad that comes with it. There's a hard pad for flatter surfaces, so if you need that firm base. Okay, so to take this triangular part off, let me just go ahead and work that out right now. You have to push in the button, and then you twist it, and you twist it off like that. Okay, so when you first try this stuff, it's a little bit, you have to kind of figure it out. So again, you put it on, you twist it, you push this button in, and then push it down, and then it comes right off. This one, just you find your spot. Let me see if there's a notch on there. I don't see a notch. You just rotate it on. You'll find your spot, and then you twist it, and it kind of snugs in. And as I said, this is in the delta mode, so it's just kind of gonna oscillate, if you will. And then the regular, the random orbit mode. Now let me just see, I'm trying to figure out how this switches. So the one thing I notice about this particular sander is there's a depression in the button here. So I turned it to the off mode. I guess when I had it in the on mode, it didn't want to switch properly, but you push down and you turn it to whatever the setting that you want. And again, I'll put it into the gear mode. Now, when I switch it from this mode to the gear mode, it just switches right over. But when I try to switch it over to the delta mode, I actually have to push it down to move it. So you must depress the button to move it from the random orbit mode to the delta mode. But when you get it into the random orbit mode, you just simply toggle it over, and that drops the pin so that this no longer rotates. So again, push it down, and on the bottom of the sander here, I'm noticing something as well. There's a black, kind of like a pillar at the bottom here. And I'm not sure if you can kind of see that, if I can get that in the angle. When you turn it, you see it goes up. So in the delta mode, it's perfectly flush. So when you pick the sander up, you'll know what mode it is in, because this right here is going to be flush. Now when you put it in the random orbit mode, you see that pin, if you will, is protruding there. And then when I go to put it into the geared mode, it is also protruding. So that's interesting there. One of the things I can see when you look at that pad there, like if you were really pushing aggressively, I wonder if you would actually hit this particular pin that's right there. That's interesting. I'm not 100% sure, but it looks like that could be possible. So like say if you were, kind of pushing down like this, you could potentially catch that pin, because as I depress it there, it's pretty close on the spongy pad there. Let me see, I don't know if you can see it in that angle. If I push it like this, you can see there how close that gets to that pin. Anyways, So this is the Festool Rotex 90. Let's plug it in and just see how it sounds. You know, we're not gonna do any sanding tonight, but I just want to, you know, fire it up and hear it. All right, so we got it plugged in. So many of you know I am trying to build out a complete Festool shop with the tools that are available on the market here in the United States. Obviously, there are tools that are not available still here in the United States, stuff like the Vaxis, which is not available for me to purchase, nor is there a Festool table saw other than the battery powered one that's available here in the United States to purchase. So obviously we're excluding any tools that are not available. There's also a smaller Festool planer that's not available here. So obviously those types of tools won't be on the list, but for the tools that are available here in the continental US, that is my goal still. Full disclaimer, with the economy being the way that it is, there is a chance that I get derailed and may not be able to complete the set. However, at this point in time with this Festool Rotex 90, I kind of have a full gambit of sanders in the Festool line. So what that gives me the ability to do is to use the sander, and I never have to reach for any of the other sanders that I have in my shop now that I've kind of filled out my Festool sanding arsenal. I have the Rotex 150, which gives me the bigger end, the more aggressive, the larger pad. I, at least at this time, opted not to get the Festool 125 because it seems to be a bit redundant. This is more of a specialty Rotex that obviously offers a additional feature with the Delta pad. So it was an easy choice for me to pass over the 125 and go with the 90. So it gives you that unique smaller pad, the 90, which is I guess 3.5 inches, and it also gives me that aggressive sanding mode with the Rotex, and as well as the other two modes. Obviously it's going to fit in with the Festool dust collection system. It's going to turn off and on via the cord. So all of these things are all positive checks in my opinion in regards to having the Rotex sander. Now to complete out my Rotex, or to fill out my full Festool sanding lineup, of course I do have the Festool ETS sander. I have the cordless and the corded version. I have the DTS sander corded and the RTS sander corded. So that gives me the ability to use those finer sanders when I need them. If I want to do a bigger panel and I don't want to use a Rotex style sander, then I could go ahead and utilize the Festool ETS, I believe is what it's called, 150. Now I don't have the aggressive version of that. I have the 3 as opposed to the 5. However, I did get that on a bundle deal, so that's why I went with the slightly less aggressive sander. Now going forward, there is a chance that I may end up, you know, picking up the 150/5, and I wouldn't rule out getting the Rotex 125, but that's, you know, if things turn around in the economy, or if with this YouTube channel I start to pick up traction and it brings in a decent amount of revenue, then I can continue to reinvest that back into the channel and you know, continue to purchase these Festool tools. Now the Milwaukee has come out with a sander that looks very similar to this particular sander, and it's $179, and I was very intrigued by it. However, I had to take a step back and really consider if I wanted to go that route, simply because of the fact when you consider the Milwaukee version, that essentially kind of, it looks like they copied this style of sander. It's a 3.5 inch sander, but it's fully battery powered. There's no corded version, and it's not a hybrid model either. The thing that kind of made me pull back from considering the Milwaukee, and I'm not saying that I would 100% always say no to a tool like that, is, you know, the versatility of the Rotex. The Rotex is obviously closer to 3 times the price at $525, whereas the Milwaukee version is like $179. However, this particular tool, that one does not replace the gear driven mode, and it also doesn't have the Delta mode. And if if you're a deeper thinker, Milwaukee also came out with a sander that has the triangular head like this as a separate tool, and I believe that one's around 150 bucks. So if you were to buy both of those, the triangular head tool and the circular 3.5 inch or 90 millimeter sander, you still come in well below this particular tool as far as cost. However, where you're going to end up losing a lot of money and functionality is you're going to have to continue to feed those things batteries, and sanders on a battery platform are not going to have the longer runtime. And it seems as we progress forward, more and more tools are becoming battery powered, which gives the manufacturer the opportunity to make a lot of money through battery power. Having this cord on here, as long as I take care of this tool, this could last me, quite a long time. And I don't have to worry about feeding it batteries that are eventually going to deteriorate and no longer work. So I'm just sharing my logic that's in my brain. In a perfect world, if I had unlimited money, personally, I would have this Rotex. But then I would also have those other two Milwaukee sanders that I spoke about for different purposes and different reasons. Because, with this particular setup, I'm grabbing this intentionally. I'm intentionally plugging it into my vac because I want to decrease the amount of dust in the air, so on and so forth. And I also want that gear-driven functionality. However, let me present my argument for the other side of the equation. If I'm a person that did not want to go this deep into woodworking tools, but I wanted some of the same functionality, and let's say if you had a line and on one end you are heavily invested in woodworking, you spend hours a day doing it, and then on the other end you get around to it when you can, which is more I'm on that end where I get around to it when I can. At that point, I feel like the Milwaukee versions combined may be a better solution for you. If you have more time to sand, and you want to buy the batteries, it's so much more convenient because you can use that same battery in your drills or in your other saws, right? I believe it's a M12 battery. Whereas with this particular tool, this is a specialty tool. It is an intentional tool. You know what you're going to be trying to do with this particular tool. You're not going to be, now you can use it for light things, but if you need that more aggressive sanding application and you want to get through your sanding very fast, then this is what you're going to use, and this is what you're going to want to have. That Milwaukee version that looks like this is just not an alternative. I actually did watch a video of someone that had that, and they was able to push down on the sander and stop it from actually sanding. So despite there being a tool that looks like this sold by Milwaukee, they're not the same tool. This Rotex gear-driven sander, which is in the same family line as its bigger brothers, which is the 5-inch or 125, and the 6-inch, which is the 150, is just a completely different animal when you talk about sanders. Hopefully my logic is kind of coming out. Sometimes I'm thinking about things from multiple different directions, and I'm sharing with you guys some of my rationale and thought. Regardless, I'm very happy to have this sander in the shop now. Let's turn it on. Interesting. Let's put the other pad on real quick. I really like the ability to pull the power cord off of these tools. It's pretty cool because you don't have to go and find a I need to put this in. Yeah, it's in the Delta mode. Okay, so now it's locked. And you don't have to go and to the actual outlet and unplug your tool. You can just unplug it at the tool and work with it safely, which is pretty cool. All right, so we've got that snapped on. Let's plug in the power. Let's grab one of these 120 grits. And if you didn't know, so I'm going to get one of those protection pads to put on here so I can preserve this. But as you can see, I can put my sanding paper on here like this. But then when it wears out, I can rotate it around and use the triangular tip 3 times. And the extended pad like this is going to give you deeper reach if you need to get, like, say, between spindles or something like that. Let's try this out on my table. Here I have a piece of painted plywood. Let's see how it works here. Now, as you can see, you have to hold the sander in a particular way because, you know, obviously it's just going to drop down like that. So you do want to be kind of intentional with your holding of it. And the other thing is too, if you don't want to wear this pad out prematurely at the tip, you really want to work on balancing the sander from front to back, right? So as you can see, that's without dust collection. Let's go ahead and plug in the dust collector here. Let's try that out. Let's get all this off here. Don't troll me too bad. It's kind of hard to have dust collection when it's plugged into the Capex. So that's 120 grit there with the Delta pad. So let's go ahead and switch over to the random orbit. Now this is not a one-to-one comparison because this is actually 80 grit paper, so you should expect to see a little bit more of an aggressive cut with the sander here. Pop this on. Let's switch it over to the random orbit setting. Let's apply our sandpaper. And then let's connect our power. And try it out. I do have it on speed 6. So. So I definitely see that it is collecting the lion's share of the dust. A couple areas here I can see that I'm sanding through the veneer on this plywood. So even outside of the Rotex mode, this seems to be doing pretty well. So I'm going to put it in the Rotex mode and probably destroy a part of this panel, but it could be repainted if necessary for some other future purpose. Now, of course, this would be a little bit easier if I clamp this down, which is probably what I am going to do if I can find a clamp. All right, let's give it a shot, see how it does. All right. I definitely feel the sander like tugging me along with this, and I've worn down the veneer very quickly just in that short span of time. So I definitely see a difference there. Let me just grab a piece of solid wood that's got some stain on it. So if you take a look here, this is a piece of wood that came from the fence that I had made outside that I actually took down. And what I want to do is take these pieces and recycle them and turn it into a table of some type. So that's why I haven't thrown them out, even though they're smaller pieces of wood. I feel like it'll be a nice little woodworking project. Now, so this is, since this is solid wood, just a 2x lumber from the lumber yard, I can just kind of lay into this and let's see how well it removes the material. Definitely see I see the advantage of using this particular sander. As you can see, it just ripped through that really quickly. Let me get another piece so you can see what it was looking like before. So there's the before, and then this is the after. And you see how long that took. It didn't take much time at all. Anyways, guys, I just want to thank you guys for taking time to check out this video and checking out any of my videos. I want to thank you guys for coming and checking out Daddy Share Space. And I look forward to making more videos in the future, and I'll see you in my next one. Take care.